Let's do this. I got a long paragraph to read.
What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melanie.
And Cody here. And you've tapped into
The Mama's Den.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mama's Den podcast.
Welcome to the Mama's Den podcast.
This is not about to be a thing.
Melanie held me down, though.
I got you, boo.
I was ending it. Do you want to sing?
Sure. Do I have a choice?
Girl, you always have a choice in life, but
Okay.
you don't.
You do, Judith. Miss Dr.
I'll
Judith.
try it.
Oh, I love that she's about it.
Okay.
Okay, ready to go.
All right. Welcome to the Mama's Den podcast.
Well,
wait a second.
well, since she sang, let's cut to the chase, y'all. Because we got a guest. You know what I'm saying? So our group chat is often off the hinges, talking about everything from adult ADHD to dealing with battling burnout. And it turns out all of these things are symptoms of being high functioning. Ever heard of high functioning? Today you will know. So today we have psychiatrist, researcher, and author of High Functioning: Overcome Your Hidden Depression and Reclaim Your Joy, Dr. Judith Joseph.
Yay!
So we have to intro you, of course, because you sang. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from, and we'll also we should do our little intro so
I was gonna
Judith
say that,
knows.
but I was gonna go with
No, I mean I'm also trying to just read my lines.
Oh, okay. This leg and thigh is
it-
lit. It's
is it-
just giving me a lot.
I'm into it. I'm into
And that
it.
leg.
For our YouTube viewers, my
Cody
thighs
can
are
see
out.
my leg.
You look really pretty today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Lou.
Cody.
You look tan.
Cody
It's
is
messed up for you because you don't be giving us leg and thigh.
I said she a doctor. Let me try to look grown.
She
and
a
stuff
doctor.
today. Okay, well, first off, Dr. Judith, Dr. Joseph. Do we just call you Judith? Are we friends?
No, we call her doctor.
I just want to know what she
Dr.
wants.
Judith.
Yes.
When we're not on air, Judith. But like,
I'll take it.
I
That
would
means
make
we're
my
friends.
friends call me
That means we're
doctor.
friends,
that.
by the way. Dr. Judith. So I'm Cody. I have 3 kids, 2 6-year-olds and an 8-year-old. Who's next?
Melanie.
Right there.
Hello there, next to you. I'm Melanie. I have 2 kids, Cameron, who's 9, and Kaya, who's 3.
She said,
I'm Felicia. I'm Felicia. I have 2 kids. Peace is 10 and Zen is 6.
I'm Ashley. I have 4 kids. Amira is 16. Azar is 8. Asia is
Oh my
6.
God.
Talia is 3. It's so many.
So there's
many
4 of
children.
them. They range from 3 to 16
Oh, yes.
in summary. So Dr. Judith, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes.
well, I'm Judith, Dr. Judith. I have an 8-year-old, and she's adorable
Yes to the
and feisty.
8-year-old.
But I'm also a researcher. I have my own lab in Midtown Manhattan where I study all sorts of things from ADHD to depression to psychosis. And I just published the first ever peer-reviewed journal article on high-functioning depression in the entire world. So I'm really proud of that.
Okay, trailblazer.
And I am a content creator as well, and I treat patients from age 4 to age 90, and wrote this book, High Functioning, which is like my second baby, about how to overcome and identify high-functioning depression and how to reclaim joy every day.
That's amazing.
What even made you do that?
Yeah.
Well, so after 2020, I was getting a lot of people in my lab saying that they had symptoms of depression, so like poor concentration, low energy, hopelessness, something called anhidonia, which is basically a lack of joy. So like if you used to enjoy things like singing or performing or seeing friends and you're just like, meh, blah, that's anhidonia. But they weren't meeting criteria for major depressive disorder because they were overfunctioning. So think of like the busy mom who can't afford to like slow down, has to keep functioning, the entrepreneur who doesn't want to ever be bankrupt, the artist who has to perform because they don't want to lose that gig, but they're struggling. And so these are people, also healthcare providers who show up for their patients, who don't really take the time to process trauma. These are people who overfunction to cope with their symptoms of depression. So technically, according to
I
like
might relate.
yeah,
And I was like, girl,
Yeah, that's
this is
that's
me.
side
I'm
to
like,
the
I'm
left
over
of
here
me.
being like, I'm getting diagnosed right now.
Yeah. Jesus.
so yeah, technically, according to the Bible of Psychiatry, the DSM-5, you don't meet criteria for major depressive disorder if you're still functioning or if you're not showing significant distress. So, you know, I felt that this research was important and that people needed to know about this so that they wouldn't break down, so they wouldn't stop functioning, so that they could actually prevent a clinical depression.
The first time I ever heard of the term high functioning depression, there was a correspondent, a beauty pageant. She was, do you know who I'm speaking of?
Yes.
And that was the first time I had ever heard she had she committed suicide, and everybody that knew her, like so many people were just like, her social media was popping. She was bright. She was out. She was socializing. And everyone was shocked, like, but this person didn't show signs of what quote unquote depression looks like. And that was the first time I think I had heard the term high functioning depression. And so you said that you started to see a rise in this since 2020.
Yes, and actually, April Simpkins, Chesley Christ's mother,
Yes.
wrote the back of the endorsement of my book.
I just got chills.
Oh, I just got chills too.
Oh, what? Say her name again.
April Simpkins.
Okay.
Is her mother?
Yeah, so
but Chelsea is her
Chesley.
Chesley, I'm
Chris.
sorry,
Yeah.
Chesley,
She
that's
was
right.
Miss USA.
Miss USA.
USA.
Yes. Okay. Do you? To me, this sounds like you have a lot of Black women. Would be probably like the highest that I would assume.
Or what are the stats? For
Yeah.
something?
What are the stats for
It's
this?
hard to know because I did the first ever study, right? But from what I see and what is known, women are twice as likely to have depression and anxiety compared to men. Twice as likely. Black women tend to have more stressors and less permission to process pain. So they have more microaggressions in the workplace. They have a higher rate of trauma, which all puts you at risk for high functioning depression, right? You can't slow down. So yeah, like Black women have to go to work. They have to work through microaggressions. They don't get as supported. They can't slow down. That was my stomach. They can't slow down because, they don't want to let their community down. And also, Black women, we do not want to disappoint anyone because we're just like sometimes feeling as if we're lucky to be there, right? So I have this conversation a lot, and specifically in Manhattan with these high-powered women who come to my office, and they suffer from this. But then we're told that, okay, this is not real depression, so wait until you break down, and then we'll treat you. Which
Wait
I think
until
is
it's
a
like too
broken-
late.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a broken model.
Yeah.
That's
Wow, that's
wild.
amazing. But okay, so I feel like a lot of times I talk to therapists, psychiatrists, like anyone who works in that field, they typically have like a personal experience that brings them into this. Do you have any experience with high functioning depression?
Absolutely. Like I start my book off that way, saying that I was at my desk in April 2020, and I was giving this talk to this major hospital system, and they were freaking out. They didn't know what to do. People were dying. They were like afraid to go home. They were looking for answers. And I had this epiphany when I was like giving this talk, and I was like, wait, I think I'm depressed. And it snuck up on me. I'm a board certified psychiatrist, and I researched depression. And I was still surprised, right? But when I started creating content, I didn't always create content. I started creating content about high functioning depression, and I said, let me just test it out. Let me see if other people feel this way. And that video got viewed over 20 million times around the world.
Wow.
So clearly there was a need to understand why we push through pain, why we don't process pain, why we mask our depression behind pathological productivity. And people wanted to know how to heal.
Yeah.
I definitely want to know how to heal, but I also want to just shout you out because of the fact that you do create such cool content that like makes it really easy to understand everything from high functioning depression to like how to set boundaries with family. Like a lot of doctors don't do that. And I know it wasn't easy for you to start, but you were very intentional about it. And I just want to shout you out for that. I love your content.
Oh, thank you so much. Really, I got the inspiration from my students because I developed a course at NYU, and I've been teaching it for over 10 years
Girl,
to
what
teach
don't you
doctors. I'm not functioning AF, so.
I love it.
But the doctors, they were saying that like, we don't really need to know how to give press interviews anymore because everyone's getting their stuff online. So they were like, okay, we get it. We know how to do on air, but we need to know how to do social. And I didn't know how to do social. So I had to learn to do social to teach the doctors, and then it just blew up literally overnight.
What is the word the term you said?
Anhidonia.
Anhidonia. So
Yeah.
when I was 12, not to get too off topic, when I was 12, my best friend died in a car accident, and I stopped singing completely. Like I went to school, took art, never told anybody I did music. Things that bring you joy, that you step away from. Anhidonia.
Yeah, I'm sorry that's a significant loss, but trauma is a risk factor for anhedonia. So basically, the things that used to light you up, like singing,
Yes.
you no longer want
Want
to
to
do.
do. And
Yes.
I didn't even know there was a term for that. I just
Yeah.
thought like, I just wasn't I was like, I'm not myself.
Yeah.
This was news.
Oh,
I don't think you've ever.
Have you ever shared that with us?
Yeah. Her name is Ashley.
I don't know that you have shared this with us.
Maybe not on the podcast.
Because we both looked at each other.
No. I
Yes.
think I would remember if I had the same name as your best friend.
She was Leigh.
I would have remembered too, because I had
No,
a best
babe.
friend that passed
That
away
wasn't
prior
us.
to that.
I don't think you told us this.
Different friends, but we love you.
It's okay though.
That is.
Anhedonia, though, but that's
Thanks
a
for
term.
sharing.
It's like I never understood what that was. So,
I have that currently.
I believe that.
She been waiting to put her finger on something,
Girl.
because she's the person that would be like, I think I might be depressed,
I
but
say
I'm
it all
high
the time.
functioning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
Because
think
when you said the lack of joy, I definitely have that, where I'm just like, like every day,
How
like
do you
all the
spell it?
things. Yeah, how do you spell it?
And so AN is lack of, hed, HED is like hedonism, pleasure, and ia, like the condition, anhedonia.
oh wow.
I love a root word.
break it down, Latin.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I want to be clear. I knew when we found you, Dr. Judith, and you came to our event.
Yes,
in New
Dr.
York,
Judith came to
I
our
was like,
event.
we need to see you here on
Yes.
the podcast.
Yes. Well, I have a question. So, how, when you said that you recognized that you had it, then did you seek help, or what were some of the steps that you took to help yourself?
Well, I've been in therapy for, I don't know, over 10 years.
Okay.
But the thing about people who are high functioning, like myself, is that sometimes we don't talk to our therapists. Like, we have a therapist and we still hide stuff from our therapist.
1000%.
Right? I'm a therapist and I hid stuff from my therapist. So the other thing is that anhedonia is, I always liken it to, like, there's two sisters of depression. So there's the depressed mood, like crying, can't get out of bed. Then there's anhedonia. The depressed, so the sister who's depression, she's very visible. People know when she's not doing well because she's crying, she's not getting out of bed. You can see it. Anhedonia is more sneaky. Like, you can't see it. It's almost like it's a silent symptom. So a lot of doctors and therapists don't even ask about it. I went to a conference recently for only therapists, and I went around creating content, and I was asking therapists, do you know what anhedonia is? They didn't even know. And it's been in the medical literature for, like, since the 1800s.
Really?
Yes.
Is it
Wow.
typically trauma induced? Because I think I've had it since my sister passed away. I don't know. I've just been functioning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
can
there's,
it
like,
be
highs-
years long,
That's what I was
or
going
is
like, how long can
anhedonia-
it last?
Yeah.
Because I
It
would be on
can.
17 years
It
now.
can definitely last or come in and out. And trauma is associated with it. Depression is associated with anhedonia, schizophrenia, substance use. So there are a lot of conditions where you can have anhedonia as a symptom. But what I found is that, you know, when you push down pain and you don't process pain, you also push down joy. So you become mute to both the good and the bad.
Is there a form of depression where, like, I liken my depression to be, I actually experience joy. Everything is just very temporary. Like, that's how I feel like my feelings are. Like, I'm happy and then it just goes away. And then I'm sad and like, I don't live in any feeling. And I think that makes me feel depressed, because I'm like, I'm not holding on to feelings. It's very momentary. And then I'm just like, okay, I don't have time for this. And I just keep it moving.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
So, were you like that before your sister?
No.
It was
No.
after.
Yeah, I was like a heavy feeler.
Yeah, I was gonna say I also think it's attached to her losing her sister.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being
No.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
I think
so,
a lot of the stories that she shares, it's that disconnect
Yes.
happened after that.
And
So,
I haven't been able to, like, reconnect.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember even having my children, I was like so happy. And then I was like, okay, well, what do we need to do next? But I think it's because, like how you said, when your best friend passed and you just stop singing, I think, like, something happens. For me, my situation is definitely, I had to immediately become the parent because my parents were just, like, so broken. I never had a chance to, like, truly grieve. And, like, after I moved past it, kind of like my 40th birthday, you just kind of are like, well, can't get that back. Do you know what I mean? And it just feels silly to be like, oh, I'm so sad my sister died 17 years ago or 10 years ago or a year ago, because people are like, girl, that happened a year ago. Do you know what I mean? You kind of feel dumb for still feeling a way about something that already happened when everyone else has moved past it. It just never feels like the right time to be sad or to, like, deal with it. So, like, you have kids, you just keep, I'm sure that's part of the high functioning part. You have to keep showing up. And so it's just like, you look back and you're like, oh, well, there's that, but it's not truly healed. And I don't know if grief can ever really truly be healed. Do you know what I mean? But I do think that there's probably a better space between, like, that and high functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ashley, what you described is very similar to a case in my book.
Oh.
And
a
I
book
think you
study.
probably benefit from that book a lot. But, you know, what happens is that when you go through trauma and you don't process it and you busy yourself, right, you're distracting from trauma. So one of the symptoms of PTSD is avoidance. Many people avoid situations, places, but others avoid by busying themselves so they don't have to think about it. And then what happens is that pushing down that pain, not processing that pain, avoiding it, makes you feel numb or muted to other emotions. And so anhedonia is a risk factor, trauma is a risk factor. But the third risk factor in my book is something called masochism. But what we know about it is that nowadays we call it people pleasing. So you end up showing up for others, right? The daughter who survived has to keep being like the third parent, people pleasing. And that's the perfect recipe for high functioning depression.
The Lord done brought you on the show. Just take that book on home with
I
you.
was about to bring that up. I was like, I also think from like a spiritual lens too, it really just reminds me of like the enemy really trying to steal your joy and pull you up out of it. I was just telling someone the other day, I did makeup for years, like over a decade, and I stopped because I had a really toxic situation like within makeup, but it took the joy from it that I was like, I don't even like to do it anymore. But I had to, I was watching myself recently trying to find moments of joy, and I'm like, I'm noticing that there's a deficiency, but what is it? I always want to find out what the answer is. And I was like, oh, I really just allowed the enemy to just take that joy. But when I was younger, the way that I would get rewarded, because I was the middle child, so I was taking care of my brother and my sister while my mom was working, but I was rewarded with like, let's go to the MAC counter and go get makeup. So it was my art form. but literally I was like, the thing that brought me so much joy, there was so much pain attached to it. And so I've had to really weed out what does that look like and get back to that so that I'm not doing this avoidant thing or like, well, this art form doesn't make me feel that, so let me go over here and do this. It was like you get tired of distracting yourself. I'm like, it feels like it takes more work to distract myself than to just put my finger on the problem and work on it,
Well, Dr. Judith, I mean, part of what you talk about is the science of joy, and so how to heal. And so I definitely want to lean into that, because I think we've all, Melanie hasn't yet, well, maybe we've all related to what you're saying about high functioning depression, all of us here. And so help us.
You been depressed, Mel?
Oh, I'm depressed right now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's how I was like, no, she can. I know she can.
I was
She
gonna say,
can
I'm
relate.
thinking Melanie's avoiding it, child.
No, I don't think so either.
I know I've been struggling for a little while. That's not a secret. My husband knows it. But again, high functioning.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I've just been trying to do for myself, since we're all sharing our struggles, is just that somebody said this to me the other day. I have a lot going on. It's a new season, but it's a familiar season, so it's bringing up a lot of PTSD as far as professional stuff. Somebody said the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And I thought that was hilarious because who eats elephant, right? And elephants are my favorite, but it really made me, I just keep this visual in my mind. Like, I'm like, oh, don't get so overwhelmed. Don't get so overwhelmed. And I was thinking about like this avoidant energy versus like my feelings consume me all the time. So it's like, I don't avoid anything. I'm always confronting everything. So it just, as I'm listening to everyone's experience and I'm listening to these different diagnoses and different ways that people function through depression, I'm like, how do we win? Like, how do we win? Like, I just feel like everybody's battling it. And, it's like, how do we get to a place of healthy function and where we understand, like, is just the whole world in an imbalance of depression right now? Like,
I'm glad that you said that, because like, when you think about happiness, right? When people come for therapy, they're always like, Dr. Judith, I just want to be happy. And I'm like, I wish that they understood that in research, we're just trying to eradicate depression. So there's like this disconnect between real world and research. So I thought, what if I help people to shift the way they think about happiness? Because when I ask my patients, I'll ask them, so what is happiness to you? And they're like, I'll be happy when I have that partner, that home, that job, this money, no longer debt. But what the research shows is that once you delay happiness till you get that thing, you're still not happy, you're still searching. But in research, the way we think about depression and happiness is that we're just trying to get points every day. So in the rating scales, we'll ask things like, did you enjoy your meal? Did you enjoy being with your loved ones? Did you enjoy intimacy? All these things we ask, and these are all points of joy. So I reframed it with my patients and in my book that, it's all about getting points of joy every day versus becoming happy one day. And when you have that shift, something happens with patients. They'll say, now that I think about joy this way, it's more like, okay, today I'll get 2 points, tomorrow maybe I'll get 3, versus I'll never be happy.
Yeah.
It's more attainable. And I love what you said about deficiency, because I call anhedonia a J deficiency, like a joy deficiency. And my dad's a pastor, so the thief in the night, anhedonia, will come and steal your joy. It is sneaky.
This is a trip.
But using this reframe, you can get different points of joy every day. And I truly believe that Black women are like the experts in happiness, because we've been through everything. Sometimes, it may feel like we're at the bottom of the barrel in everything, in terms of payment, in terms of appreciation, in terms of beauty standards. But yet, look at the people that we turn to for joy. Oprah, Michelle Obama, Maya Angelou,
each other.
These kids.
Right, yes. we are the experts. But when you look up the directory on the Science of Happiness experts, it's always, a man at a prestigious university who's a professor, and they're not Black.
Sorry to this man. I do not know that.
I didn't know that.
I love how you use, I think it's a good point of, I love how you use happiness and joy and separate the two. Because I always say that I feel like happiness is a temporary, artificial thing. I feel like it's not real. But joy feels more like something I can achieve and something that can be a little more consistent. So I stopped using that like happy, but I think I stopped using that when I was dating and I was looking for someone to make me happy, and I'm like, wait, this is not your responsibility. This is my responsibility, and it's actually not happiness, it's joy. Okay. So but I like how you use both of them in different ways.
It's very true. I always say that happy is an idea, joy is an experience.
Yeah, it's an idea. That's why I was like, it's not real, but I don't know how to. It's like a movie. Like
So since I'm doing a free therapy session right now, I've also discovered through talking that maybe I don't have that, because what is the word for people? Like, I feel like there's a category of people like me. Like, I experience joy all the time. Like, when my sister passed away, I always say, like, the day I found out was very terrible in the morning. Towards the evening, when my friends came over, had one of the best days that I remember, like, laughing. I'm always capable of finding joy. I've never been void of that. That's why I say, like, I really just experience things temporarily. So I don't know if maybe it's something else, but I never have a hard time laughing, finding joy. And I think I just realized that everything is temporary. Like, the joy is a little bit, the anger is, the sadness. Like,
Life is.
I don't really hold on to things. And maybe I'm just a girl. Maybe I'm just experiencing life. That's what I said. Maybe that's just normal.
Yeah, I
and,
was like, are we supposed to feel joy all the time?
No, nothing. Yeah,
that's
like, maybe it's not.
You're like, how frequent is frequent?
Yeah. I mean, but I can find joy. Every day I have joy. Something, literally my child, like, I feel like a crazy person. Like, your child will keep you up all night and you're tired, and then you wake up and you see him, you're like, oh, look at your cute little
That's
face.
just motherhood.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I'm like that in all things.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle walks in, we all get joyous.
Like, I'm happy. He takes our pictures, and then something could happen, and then, like, I don't know, but if I'm eating, like, the worst thing could happen today, and I would eat something like, man, this is good, if it's good. Like, I'm never void of what is reality.
So
do you know what I mean?
Dr. Judith, what would you say about that?
In my free therapy session that the rest of y'all are here.
Diagnosing yourself and then
I love to diaggnose myself, honey. Every other day I have something.
Well, it's true. Like, when you look at research, we look at, like, whether or not you're having predominantly one, emotion. So, like, for example, when I do the rating scales with my patients, I'll ask them about, in a day, does that mood lift if something good happens? And there are these, like, really great scales that researchers use to quantify how much of the day you're feeling a certain way, right? So the points of joy that you're experiencing, that's great. Someone who's very clinically depressed may not even experience a lift. They may feel that all day long, that sadness.
Okay.
And what you're describing is, when situations happen, your mood, the way you feel, is still impacted by what's happening outside of you. Versus someone who is predominantly depressed all day long, it doesn't matter if something good happens, they won't experience a lift.
I think that's good to point out,
And it's helpful because a lot of times people come and they want to get cured of depression, but it's like, well, if we can increase your points of joy every day so that you have all these points that you're experiencing joy, then that's a great thing versus like eradicating all sadness, which is much more difficult to do.
That's my question is, can you ever cure depression, or is it just changing the balance of joy and
functioning
sadness?
through it.
Yeah,
That's
like
a good
every
question.
day.
It depends. Some people, when they go through, let's say, a major loss and they are very depressed, they may actually, through trauma work, through treatment, experience, no longer having any depression. Now, sadness is not the same as depression, right? So when you have the ability to feel sadness, that's a human reaction. But having that predominant heavy mood is different. And so, yeah, I think there are people who do have success, but the majority of people who have chronic depression will continue to struggle with it.
Because there's people listening, and you have this amazing book, which we are so grateful to have,
called High Functioning.
There's a framework you have called the 5 V's.
Yes.
Can you just break that down quickly for anybody who's listening? Because I think whenever people listen, somebody always wants to walk away with something like, well, how can I apply this to my life? First, you can go get that book. That's the first thing. But, just can you explain what the 5 V system is?
Yes, and I know that there are people who are visual learners, so when they buy the book, they have the option to actually take the Science of Your Happiness course, which I think people love to learn about themselves. But what I say is that, like, my dad's a pastor, so I use a lot of imagery. I ask people to hold their hands up and just imagine that there are 5 things that if you do a little bit of every day, you can pick 1 or 2, not all 5, then happiness is within reach, because we're all built with the DNA for joy. We all have the capacity to create dopamine, which is the happy chemical. So if you feel as if you're not getting joy, you can do one of these 5 things every day. The first is validate. So that's acknowledging how you feel and accepting it no matter what, rather than someone telling you like, oh, how are you doing? And you're like, I'm fine. Actually say, I'm burnt out. I'm depressed. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. What happens when we are honest with our feelings is that it decreases uncertainty. Many of us walk around, we don't know why we're feeling a certain way, and humans need to know how they're feeling. So acknowledging how you feel and accepting it is very important. The second V is venting. Now, this is not trauma dumping. This is not like unloading on people, but it's like expressing how you feel, because when you let out the emotions, you actually feel better. And you can vent in many ways. I treat a lot of artists who sing, they paint, they dance, or people who journal, if you don't feel comfortable talking with someone about it. But you can vent in a way that feels authentic to you. And then the third is values, and these are things that are priceless, not things with price tags. So we often chase things. I mean, I like my nice things too. I have my Chanel's, I have my Sergio Hudson on. But, I also know that at the end of the day, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be like, I wish I bought a Prada bag. I'm going to be like, I wish I had more time with my daughter.
You said her name.
Because she did already. I understand.
Right. No, it's true.
Yeah, but these are the causes that you're passionate about, like, the fires in LA, giving back to the community, right? And what you do every day, helping other women feel seen and heard. Those are the things that bring you joy. And then the fourth V is vitals. So we only get one body. I tell my daughter every day, or the days that I have her, how many bodies did God give you? And she goes, 1, Mommy. I've been doing this since she was like 2. And I say, what do you have to do with it? And she goes, I have to take care of it. So you only get one body and brain, and you're so lucky because there's only one you ever who will ever exist in this world. So take care of your body. Eat things that nourish your brain. Don't eat the processed food that increases inflammation, because that makes you depressed. Get movement in. Being with the wrong person, that's toxic for your body. So think about all these things, your relationship with technology. That's how you really value your body and brain, getting sleep, getting movement. And then the 5th is vision. So I put vision in there because many of us, we do great things, including myself, and you're just on to the next. But celebrate your wins. When you do an episode and you help people, do something nice for yourself. Acknowledge it. Don't just be like, okay, next, when are we planning the next episode, right? Really celebrate your wins, because tomorrow is not promised. And you want to plan joy in the future with a vision so that you keep moving forward instead of getting stuck in the past.
I love those.
I just love you.
I know. I think you need to.
She's like the sister
Right,
friend we
that
didn't know we
part.
needed.
I know.
Thank
She'll have to
you.
come back like once a month or something.
I'll be in New York in May. I'm coming.
Can we lean into you a little bit? Because to that point, and y'all feel free to go back to Science of Joy and High Functioning, but you talk on your social media about like how you were raised and what your parents' expectations of you were and how everything didn't go the way they wanted it to go. But will you share a little bit of that with our audience? Because I think it's very relatable.
Listen, the girl became a doctor, and every Caribbean parent know you want your daughter to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, a teacher, somebody, and she's Dr. Judith, okay? All right, now carry on. Because I know somebody's Caribbean mama and daddy is happy that there's a doctor in the house. For sure. Okay? Yes.
Well, my parents are very like extra. So like I'm a doctor. My sister who you met is an engineer. Mm-hmm. My other sister's a lawyer, and my brother's an accountant.
Okay, no, that's right.
So they didn't stop with the doctor.
I need to have them write a parenting book next.
Yeah, right.
Because listen, it worked. Whatever they did, it worked.
No,
multiple times.
Right. What is the background of your parents?
So my father is from Tobago.
Yeah.
So if you've ever been to Tobago, it's
beautiful
and mostly Afro-Caribbean.
Yeah.
But Trinidad, where my mother's from, is mostly Indian heritage, right? It's from India. So after slavery ended, people came over from India as indentured servants. So they weren't slaves, but they were treated pretty poorly. So there's a lot of mixtures in Trinidad. And so my dad is a pastor, and growing up with him was very strict. Like he didn't want anyone, sinning and all that stuff. So that was like the added pressure, being an immigrant and a religious immigrant. So, when I first went to medical school, I trained as an anesthesiologist. So like doing injections, doing all the lumbar punctures. I hated it. The operating room is cold. I'm always cold. That's why I'm sniffling now. Because any change, I was freezing. And it's so early in the morning and you don't talk to anyone. So I felt very lonely. And when I told my parents, I said, one of my friends, who's also Trinidadian, she's in psychiatry at Cornell. She loves it. I think I'm going to switch. They were like, what are you going to do with all them crazy people? That's not a real doctor. And I was like, well, technically, we all go to medical school. They didn't accept it for many years. Wow. They were like hoping I would still go back to become a real doctor. Wow. But now, when I go back to my church, my dad is still a pastor, and I give these mental health talks, he's like, wow, so that thing that we thought was demons was actually schizophrenia, right? So there's a shift, and he's like, we need this information. So many people are depressed, especially after the pandemic. They're anxious, they have panic attacks. So there's a huge shift now with my family, but it took a long time to get there.
But it's also beautiful. Nice that they appreciate what you do. It's not just like, we're proud of you, you check that box. They're like, we get it, that's valuable. Like, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and to be able to change your father's viewpoint, just like my grandparents were super religious. I just know how hard it is to get people to go from that to being able to be open to another way of thinking. I think that's really beautiful. And just like you planting the seeds in the congregation of them understanding the importance of mental health. Because I was talking about that to my friend a long time ago, like, oh, the women that they called witches and all these things. Yes. And it's like, that's not what it is. It's not the devil. Like, people are struggling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like casting out demons and stuff when people are actually, they just need support.
Help. Yeah.
Clothing and shelter and therapy and medication, right? So yeah, it took a while, but I think that now they realize that, mental health issues are not just spiritual. Two things can be true, right? True. You can have the spiritual world and believe in that, but also believe in, that God put medicine on this earth. A lot of the medicines that I work with came from the rainforest, right? But they're extracted and they've been used in a way that your body has more access to it, right? One of the studies I'm doing now is psilocybin, which is a psychedelic drug. That these things are found in nature, just like antidepressants and so forth. Some of them are derived in nature, right? Yeah. So two things can be true. You can believe in the spiritual world, and you can also seek evidence-based mental health support.
Yes.
I always find that middle point.
Yeah.
It's that middle ground, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I always say science, this is what I believe. I think God created science for people that find it hard to believe in the spiritual world, because like me and my husband have been reading the Bible, and it's just like interesting. It literally says in there, like, he provided everything that you need. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think it's dope that you're even doing that. And you are literally like opening up another realm for people that are coming from similar backgrounds as you. I love you.
It's that time.
I'm in love.
It's that time. I feel like a lot of people, it's all these lanes are starting to open up, but I feel like it's the truth. The truth is finally bubbling to the top. Which
absolutely.
Any mama.
I don't want this episode to end.
Me neither.
Like, I have so many questions,
I
and I'm
know.
sure
Just have me back.
She got fancy. She got fancy meetings after
she
this.
got fancy
girl.
meetings.
But
Thank
we
you.
yes,
do
yes.
want you to come back.
Do
Yes.
tell everyone where they can find you and your content and your book and how we can find you.
Yes.
Well, first, let me just say, when my sister and I met you all at Dumbo House, we were just like, why are we not listening to this? So we told all of our friends. Because I think there's like, when you're on the East Coast, you don't hear a lot about what's happening on the West Coast. So we're just like, this is like the best. We actually told our third sister right away. We're like, you gotta listen to this. She has
thank
twins.
you.
So.
I know that's right. How old are they?
Oh, they're so cute. They're 3. But we have to go see her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come to the city. Let's
Yeah.
go to
Much.
Jersey.
Absolutely not.
Come see me.
Yeah.
I
Go
wouldn't
to
do
your
it either.
sister.
Yeah.
Cross the bridge. Go
She'll
through
come
the
to
tunnel.
you in
Come
like
on.
3 to 5 business years.
Your daughter's 8 now.
Exactly, right? So yeah, thank you, because that conversation was so much fun, and I love that it was live and that you took questions. So that was beautiful. But you could find my book on my website, drjudithjoseph.com, and I'm on all the socials, and there are free tests, free quizzes on there, so you can take the anhidonia quiz, you could take the high functioning quiz, the trauma inventory.
So dope.
And also there's one there for menopause, because Black women go through menopause sooner, longer, and more severe. And many times people are like, oh, she's just angry, she has an attitude. No, she's going through perimenopause, right? So you can learn about the symptoms and signs and get support that you need.
Oh, thank you
Amazing.
so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much.
This was
We're
a,
so
a,
grateful.
a
Such a
treat.
gift.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are a
Thank
walking
you.
testament of letting the Lord use you, honey, because you definitely are. This is dope.
Wow.
So y'all follow Dr. Judith Joseph.
Yes.
All the places that she said. Buy her book, High Functioning, because it applies to so many of us. And then for all things Mama's Den, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Watch us on YouTube. Leave us a rating and a review. And if you have questions, you can email us at podcasts
With an S.
at blacklove.com, or of course DM us at Instagram, the Mama's Den podcast. All right.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Come
We did
So
that.
fun.
See you guys